Good day to everyone. My name is Minuthu Jayasinghe and you are with another episode of EduTalk by NCHS. Today the discussion is not only going to be about degrees. It's going to be about your future. Your future. To that we have three distinguished members from Swinburne University of Technology, Australia. Let's get to know about them. I have with me today Professor Lan Snell, Executive Dean, School of Business, Law and Entrepreneurship. Professor Rebecca Lane, Department Chair, Allied Health, School of Health Science. Dr. Atikia, Lecturer, Computing Technologies and Emerging Technologies. Thank you all for being here with us today. Let's begin by exploring how education itself evolved in this rapid changing world. So I'd like to start with how the future of education. So my first question is to Professor Lan. From your perspective as Executive Dean, how is global business education evolving in response to this rapid changing economic and technological world?
I think it's fair to say that we are living in unprecedented times. I mean, the rapid rate of technological disruption, geopolitical shifts, societal preferences have significantly changed. How the education sector is responding to this, and I'm going to be really honest when I respond to your question, is that it's a lagged response, and that is the honest truth. Education is always going to be a mirrored thing. I mean, we try our best to anticipate the labour market needs. We try our best through research endeavours to try and understand what the next trends are. I think we've not been bad at this, right? So here we are in a post-COVID era. We have some unsettling events happening in the Middle East that has drawn in all and sundry to this. Here we are in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, filming this episode, and we're not alone in this, right? We are all impacted. The other day we were driving down the road, and we can see the impact of the fuel crisis that's happening here, as well as is all over the world. When I think about what's happening in education, we know this. We know that industry expectations are increasing in terms of their demands. You talk to industry partners, they want career-ready, job-ready graduates, people who understand what the foundations of the theory is, but not only that, in an applied way. So this is about how might we integrate technology into the curriculum such that our graduates understand the science behind it and how it's being used in industry and organisations. So I think at best, the education sector is evolving to try and anticipate these needs, and this is through the integration of curriculum, co-creating curriculum with our industry partners and trying our best to anticipate what those trends will be. I just want to call out two important other trends in this discussion, and I think that these themes will be prevalent across all this discussion. Well, I hope they will be, and that is the superpower of geopolitical understanding. Our expectation is with our students that they understand and apply a global lens to any discussion. And so we try and incorporate that through our case studies. I might leave it there for my colleagues to comment, right?
Thank you, Professor Lane. So when it comes to healthcare sector, actually, that also not a secret, that also evolving industry. So healthcare also rapidly changing in this rapid developing world which we are living today. So how is health science education adapting to these kind of changes which is happening in today's world?
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. Healthcare is a rapidly evolving space, particularly with respect to emerging trends in the digital health space. So people will have probably been exposed to things like telehealth and other digital health type endeavours. In the education sector, we really have to focus on being very adaptive and being curious and creative in how we explore the opportunities that technology brings to the healthcare sector. And in particular, in healthcare, we're teaching our students to really appreciate critical thinking and critical reasoning and putting a really analytical lens to what they do. But digital technology can really help to support that by providing students, health students in particular, with the resources and the research that really underpins them being able to make safe choices about how they manage patients and have really the strongest possible outcomes for the patients that they care for as well. Look, that comes with a lot of challenges as well, because there are ethical challenges to how we use technology in this really fast moving space. And that's not necessarily well appreciated by the health sector more broadly, and perhaps other sectors as well. So at the university, we really also have to ensure that students engage in understanding the ethical and legal uses of emerging technology to ensure that we are not compromising our patients in any way, and ensuring their physical safety, but also the broader cyber safety of those patients as well. When we think about things like cultural safety, cultural competence, cultural responsiveness, so in Australia, we have a very diverse population and community, and we have to very carefully consider those things. And again, emerging technologies aren't really grasping cultural safety right now. So that's something that as a university in education we need to be very aware of when students are participating in their work integrated learning or their professional placements, so that they're not too heavily reliant on emerging technology. So really there's that symbiosis of them working together, so people and technology working together to build a stronger community, but not harnessing, just focusing on the strengths of technology, which can be quite a challenge for some students.
Thank you, Professor Rupika. So talking about the industries, we can't ignore the technological advancement, right? So technology, of course, it's directly implementing on every industry. So my next question is to Dr. Atikia, actually. So technology is transforming in every industry. So how is that actually helping with this revolutionizing world which is we are living today?
Yeah, technology, from 10 years ago, it has been evolving almost like it was every year, and then it changed to every month. And now we say weekly, we are having new technologies coming up because of AI. But the point is, when we are dealing with computing education, we don't focus on the tool or the software. We focus on how to be adaptable, how to accept change, how to be flexible. And we basically focus more on design and development, innovation. Rather than just being a user, we teach our students to be a creator and be innovator of the device and tool. And I think that updating the knowledge, it's not just something relevant to computer science anymore. It's for all the majors, because of the Gen AI, of course, made revolutionary in everything. And we are going to see more things coming up in future.
Right, thank you. So likewise, we have heard that how the future of the education going to be happen. But without the skill, we can't survive in the future, though we know what the future of education goes to. So let's talk about the skills which we need for our future. So again, I like to ask from Professor Lan, so what truly makes a business graduate industry ready in this 2026 and beyond?
I just want to pick up on your commentary about the shift from a knowledge economy to that of, and Artie mentioned this earlier, a creator economy. Content is king in this world. I mean, we're seeing new occupations emerging with the monetization of tools. So, for example, we have content creators out there. They're running a number of different side hustles, and they're earning some really good actually income from this. And so, a very different career path is ahead for them. So we're seeing a whole proliferation of new occupations that are emerging from this. And so that sort of that traditional professional trajectory is being challenged at the moment. So there is a definite shift from the knowledge economy to that of the skills, right? And so we know that every research report that has been produced, whether that has come out from the big four firms, whether that might be the latest report from the World Economic Forum, and Rebecca touched upon the importance now of what they have labelled as soft skills. I really dislike that term. It's anything but soft. These are critical. So this is about understanding how to work on problems. This is about upping your game in terms of communication. This is about synthesising information and actually delivering some strategic insights to add value to an organisation. So these bundle of capabilities is what we call soft skills, right? So in this whole era, you talked about what is the business school's response to this evolving landscape. I'm letting you know now that any business school that is not incorporating both the hard technical skills, and I'm not talking about coders in the basement grunting away, I'm talking about the domain expertise of understanding how an organisation functions. But that is not enough these days. So it's got to be the technical domain plus the soft skill application to it. So these two ingredients together is what we call an integrated curriculum. And I think when anyone is looking to understand what is that business school of the future, how might I get the greatest shelf life out of it, that's what they're going to be considering. So the return on investment needs to be there.
Exactly. I also agree with that, Professor Lan. So I think that quite the same for healthcare sector as well. So the next question actually for Professor Rebecca, what new skills are becoming essential for allied health in 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, look, I think Lan has touched on that a little bit, and some of those skills are very transferable across all the professions. In healthcare, obviously, there has been a long tradition of having, skills in the physical assessment of a client or patient, and also having those communication skills. But as I mentioned earlier, the newer skills are largely around embracing technology, but also being able to analyse what technology to embrace, because as Artie also mentioned, that there is so much technology on the landscape that students and clinicians are just so overwhelmed with what might be the best choice, and what was the best choice yesterday might not be the best choice tomorrow. So it's also really driving the education of all students to become really critical in the way they analyse the types of tools that they can utilise to benefit their clients in that space. So that's the fastest evolving space in healthcare.
Can I just add something to that, if you don't mind?
Of course,
Because, Rebecca mentioned something really crucial to this discussion. That evolving landscape of education, we're seeing different sizes and different shapes of learning emerging because of the constant disruption in occupations brought on by technology. So we're talking about the era of lifelong learning here. So it's not enough anymore to simply have a degree. We must also invest in our upskilling ourselves all the way through. So this is lifelong learning. So I think that's an important point to talk about when we're talking about the future of the education market, which is basically now.
Yeah, and I think to follow on from that as well, we're experiencing, particularly in Australia, some very different cohorts of students moving through the education system that perhaps we hadn't seen in the past. And I'll pick one group, which is the neurodiverse group. So when we're looking at emerging technologies, for example, some of them are really fabulous to support students that have different learning needs. Others are terrible and are actually quite discriminatory towards the learning styles of those students and perhaps the clients that utilise that technology as well. So it's something that we really have to be mindful about when we're looking at that evolving landscape.
Exactly. I actually like the way that you bring the technology to this conversation more about the emerging technology especially. So with that, my next question is actually for Dr. Atty. So how can actually students prepare for their careers that may not even exist yet in this world?
Yeah, this is a question students often ask me, like, am I going to get a job if I study this major in future? I always say yes, but the better question is, how will be that job? So a lot of things has changed. Like, of course, a lot of positions are going to be eliminated, but we are going to have more positions. Like 5 years ago, if you were saying, what is prompt engineering? We didn't have that position before, but now we have it. Or, for example, AI ethical consultant. These are the new kind of positions that they are coming up. And what I would actually suggest to my students always is critical thinking, empathy. These cannot be replaced by AI. So if you can think critically and adopt fast, be open to change, you're gonna be fine. So that's, I think, the main thing I always suggest to my students.
A superpower skill is adaptability. Absolutely. So you need to actually incorporate with proof points as to how you are being how adaptable you are. So, you know, organisations are going to be looking around for these sort of super skills in a candidate, right? You cannot just compete alone on that basis of skills because those technology tools are changing. And so the question is, well, how are you adapting to that? Help me understand what you've done in the past to do that, and importantly, how you're going to do that in the future. So I think that's crucial.
You're right, and it is a superpower because
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
Oh, look, everyone hates change. Everyone
yeah,
talks about it, but people
absolutely.
actually just hate change because we're human beings, right?
Absolutely, and there are many people that really like to have, you know, their list that they work through, have very concrete approaches to how they tackle the same task over and over again, and that requires a lot of energy. Really, to be adaptable, and it can be, you know,
Well,
we can refer to
Rebecca.
change fatigue, right? Yeah. It is exhausting. So the rapidly moving environment is, you know, more challenging and more fatiguing than ever before.
Even our lab instructions are changing. Like before, it was like a step by step, do this, then do that. Now it's more open. So think about it. How would you approach this problem? Or what do you think is the best solution? I think it's evolving everything. The way we look at even the teaching materials is changing as an educator, especially with Gen AI. Like how we can have that, but use it as an advantage for students to submit better projects, to do better like assignments. And I think, yeah, it's completely evolving everything.
And so this is a really important point because I think we're getting to the heart of this discussion in the sense that what we're evaluating in this process to assess change or how we handle change are skills such as risk mitigation, risk assessment of what that is, and also we need to be ambidextrous in our evaluation of it. It's not just a compliance approach to things, it's actually what are the opportunities out there. So we're asking people to be both opportunistic in terms of understanding what the commercial opportunity is, but also assessing the risk at the same time to present the best value to an organisation or to society. You know, we're asking a lot out of people, right? And so that's where universities hopefully can actually equip them with these skills.
Thank you. And since Dr. Lane came up with the opportunity, let's more talk about the technology and innovation. So Dr. Aktikia, which emerging technologies do you believe will dominate the next decade?
Oh, that's my favorite question, actually. I can talk about it for ages, but what I would say always to my students that even if you are studying any major which is kind of not relevant to AI or something, take AI subjects as an elective, because I think virtual reality, augmented reality, entertainment area is going to be completely revolutionized. And I think those are the ones that we are going to see a lot. IoT, is going to be a lot. Like everything is going to be automated, and a lot of tasks that we are kind of like annoyed by these days, like house chores, it's going to be changed completely. So I would say smart devices and also virtual reality, augmented reality are going to revolutionize industries.
I mean, there's no hiding this. It's front and centre across every domain that we do, right? We've got the perfect storm happening here. We have an infrastructure right now. I mean, Artie mentioned it's a sort of, what do you call it, Artie? Is it IoT 4, 5, 10, whatever
Yes.
wave we're on in terms of smart appliances. It's called a phone that can operate the TV, the fridge, the oven, the washing machine.
I can do it from my watch.
Right. So we've become far more productive in our house administrations. We have the perfect infrastructure right now to be on this next wave here. So it's extraordinary times.
Exactly. So, like it or not, we are living a digital era now. So everything is digitalization. With that, Professor Rebecca, how is technology influencing patients' care and healthcare education?
Yeah, look, I think, as we've mentioned, it is really changing healthcare, and in particular for marginalised groups. So thinking about people that live in rural or remote communities, for example, that had very limited access to high quality healthcare. So they might have had some healthcare, but being able to access healthcare, at any minute of the day is absolutely critical. And in Australia in particular, we have some very remote communities, particularly our First Nations Indigenous Australians, that have had very poor outcomes in the past. And now we're seeing the infrastructure is there for them to access, people that live in those remote communities to access telehealth rapidly, and to get rapid diagnoses from experts. So not just from the wonderful locums that move in and out of those communities, but actually being able to access the expert that lives in Sydney or Melbourne or America or wherever that might be. So technology is really, really rapidly changing that sort of space. We're also seeing some terrific research come out in health with respect to the ability to diagnose diseases. And I'll give one example. If we think about different types of cancer and the imaging of those cancers, so I'm talking about when a patient has like an MRI or something like that. There's been some studies that have shown, I'll use the example of breast cancer, that if two experts review the MRI image versus one expert and one AI review versus two AI reviews, the expert and the AI come out the best. So that ability, that the human plus the technology factor is showing that we're having significantly improved correct diagnoses. So we're not getting breasts removed that shouldn't be removed. We're having more successful diagnoses, and we're having longer life expectancies as a result. So that's just one example in healthcare that we're really changing, but it is that people and technology working together. It's not handing everything over to AI. If I use the example of skin cancers and that same two clinicians, AI and a clinician, two AI. In skin cancers, two AI removes many, many more skin cancers than they actually are. So it's a much more invasive procedure. So it's really looking at how we can work together in that space.
What a great example of enhanced productivity when human beings can work with a tool like AI to actually increase the accuracy and the outcomes there. I wondered though, in that enhancement optimal sort of lens, that there could be a dark side to that, and that dark side could be, are human beings only there to verify or triangulate AI slop? And pick that out. So, that if you extend that, the findings from that piece of research that you just cited there, across to other professional domains there, that is looking like a disruption of their trajectory. So, I think we need to be mindful of all these sort of these outcomes, but I'm most excited about that pairing under those controlled circumstances of a human plus an AI makes a better outcome than, what did you say, 2 AIs and
2 experts.
2 experts.
So, and particularly in those rural and remote communities where there's limited expertise, I think that's really critical.
The technical terms is actually human AI teaming. And there are plenty of researches going on at the moment on that, human AI teaming. It is being used for military as well, for Air Force. And also, because it adds empathy. AI doesn't have empathy. And there are lots of false, not yet, yes, not yet. There are lots of false alarm that they might generate. So that's a field of research that working towards this to see how this collaboration can give us a better result.
Right. So I like the answers which you are actually giving, especially about the last question. And next question actually for Professor Lan. So do you believe entrepreneurial thinking is now essential even for students who are planning to work under established organizations?
Well, I think we've been talking about and trying to sell up the human traits and the importance of being a human being. I find this discussion most ironic that in this era of technological disruption that we're asking people to be more human and we're training people to be more human-centred. I mean, but it is so important. Entrepreneurial thinking, call it creative ability, call it emotional intelligence. It's all sort of clustered under that sort of global construct of being able to see different opportunities out there. And from my perspective, actually commercialising those opportunities as well. I think it's absolutely crucial.
Right. So from the start of this conversation, we actually talk about the future of education and of course the skills which you need to have to survive in this future rapid changing world. And of course we talk about the technology and innovation. Let's give our student a bit of advice. So the question is for Professor Rebecca. And what advice would you give to international students prepared to study health science, especially in Australia?
Yes, look, that's a great question. And we have a lot of international students come to study health. I would say that students need to be open-minded to the experience. Health is a different, like all professions, it's a different language in itself. So it can be very, very challenging for international students that haven't had no experience in health to pick up that language when perhaps they're also learning a new language, which is English, and then the university language, and then the health language. So be open-minded to the experience because it does take a little bit of time to overcome that culture shock, to speak that new health language. Students need to bring a strong work ethic to any of the health programs. And there are very high academic expectations because it revolves around, and moving away from that technology conversation, it revolves around essentially first and foremost protecting people from harm. So we need to ensure that our patients and clients are safe. So I would encourage students to be open-minded, be committed to their studies, come to campus with lots of questions and be really curious. We as academics absolutely love answering questions, and we are always there for international students to engage. I'd also encourage international students to engage more broadly in the university, so engage in all of the wonderful experiences that you get from moving into tertiary studies.
Thank you, Professor Rebecca. So, Professor Lan, so this again, I'm coming to you. Actually, what global business trends should students in Sri Lanka be aware of if they want to compete with international brands?
Well, my response to that is it's not unique to Sri Lanka. I touched on the importance of having a more global outlook. We are living in a very small world right now. Everything is touched supply chains across the world are being disrupted, and we all feel that. So I made that point earlier in my statement there. So that geopolitical understanding is vital across, not just in Sri Lanka. I've forgotten the first part of your question. Could you just repeat that for?
Yes. So my question is, what global business trend should Sri Lankan students know about when they compete with the international industry?
Yeah, okay, so it's just basically what we've been talking about here. Understand what the theory behind that is in an applied way, but also make sure that you upskill yourself all the way through. What you want to demonstrate here is currency and relevancy. I need to see that if I'm a hiring employer in your professional value proposition. What is it that you're bringing to the table here? Why should I hire you? So the ability to nail that value proposition in terms of your value set, what skills and attributes you can bring to the table, that's what's going to differentiate you. Be careful, because the thing is, do not rely on AI output as your sole crutch to this. People will see straight through it. You want to be uniquely you, because there's only you out there.
Absolutely. Definitely don't undermine the human factor, because otherwise everyone looks the same, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Couldn't be agree with that. So, Dr. Ati, actually, should students from non-IT background, are they also supposed to know about something about IT to survive in this world right now?
Oh, definitely, definitely. So that's why we have elective subjects, I think, at the uni, because they can select from, like if someone is doing health, they can take technology subject, AI subjects, or other ones as an elective, or vice versa. And I think multidisciplinary is an advantage. If you just focus on one thing, it doesn't work. And like, how can I say? It doesn't work as it will if you just go for multidisciplinary, like you just focus on one thing or explore other areas as well. And I would say, because technology is coming there, why not a programmer or someone who is a software developer, software engineer, know about, for example, psychology, how this app should be designed actually. So these, in combination of these, will give us better products. And to answering your question, I would say definitely yes.
Can I just build on that? I mean, one of the phenomena that we're seeing is that, you know, have you heard of the T model? So, you know, this is the domain expertise. So call it an, I don't know, a health clinician, and then all of a sudden looking at a particular commercial opportunity that they may want to sort of work on, and then needing to upskill themselves on IT or some sort of technology. So it's that plus this equals an outcome there that they perhaps hadn't seen previously before. So we're constantly seeing this evolving, re-identifying yourself as a professional. And so that's what we're talking about earlier, this whole discussion about the importance of upskilling all the way through.
Exactly. I believe that's why the wise man says, don't put all the eggs in one basket, right? So,
oh, that's an interesting point, because there's some research that backs this, right? So we know that, I think it's come out of Australia, and I think the stat is something like 17 different jobs. I mean, you and I know, I don't know how many career shifts you guys have had. I've had probably 3 or 4, but our kids, the next generation that's coming through, they can expect at least 17 different 5 sector switches. Quite incredible.
right. Thank you. So, since we are come to the latter part of our panel discussion today, I'd like to ask all three one last final question, but you need to answer this question in one sentence. That's the trick. So, first question for Professor Len. What does studying business at Swinburne prepare a student for?
A job.
A job.
That's my response.
So, Professor Rebecca, the same question apply for health science. What does studying health science at Swinburne prepare a student for?
I could say the same thing, but I will try in one sentence. Look, it provides students with real-world experiences in and through interaction with patients, real-world patients on placement, to gain an authentic job that they can take anywhere in the world.
Right, so the last question goes for Dr. Ati. What does studying computing at Swinburne prepare a student for?
If I want to put it in one sentence, I would say it prepares students to be adaptable and industry-ready graduates.
Thank you very much. Like that, we are coming the latter part of today's panel discussion. Thank you all for being with us here today. I know you have a very tough and strict schedule with us in your visit to Sri Lanka, and thank you very much again. Likewise, future belongs to those who are actually curious, adapting, and lifelong learning. So again, thank you very much, and I hope everyone is enjoying today's discussion, and see you with another similar interesting discussion. Until then, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.